Hi, good evening. How's everyone? Very good Wednesday evening on the 15th of October. This is the last consumer webinar by Hutton's Landed Division or HLD. My name is Willie here, and together with my team of leaders or my district ICs for the entire division, we are here to share, I think, our last and I think one of the most surprising one. I think just now from the music, you probably heard quite an upbeat music, right? Because there's a lot of, I would say, just good news, but a lot of positive, I think, surprises, especially in certain segments, right, to share with you. We started just now by asking how to get to know. Maybe we can share some of the results here. Most of you are invited by Hutton's Landed Division consultant, agent, etc. Good. Okay, by the way, this is recorded as well. So if you have seen any of our previous one, I think the viewership will cross 1,000 quite easily. So a lot of clients will prefer to watch at their own time. All right. So by the way, let me just come to this. My name is Willie. Once again, I am the head and founder of Hutton's Landed Division. So some of the accolades we are not familiar with me. So basically, I've been focusing on landed together with the team from since 12 years ago. All right. So, but more importantly, these are the gentlemen I want to introduce to you. I have from here Michael, Cindric, Will, Jason, Sean, and Justin. All of us have put together, I think, another very comprehensive evening of this, what many would say a very long anticipated, all right? Because we only do this once every 3 months. And this time around, we're going to share with you the quarter three market results, okay, covering the various districts. So if this is the first time you've seen us, I hope this previous media exposure can give you some reminders on who we are, what we have done before. And thankfully, the media as well, of course, our clients have been very supportive, all right, in terms of recognizing us and, of course, together with the rest of the team. And speaking of the team, this is the majority of the team now. I think we've just crossed the 100 mark, okay, just after our latest batch of recruitment, annual recruitment this year, okay? And if you saw the poll just now, the various social media portals are here. If you're not familiar, you can go to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok to look for not just, I think, updates on the market, but of course, very excitedly, all the latest listings that we have, okay? Landed listings. So again, this is not the first time we've done this many years. So the last one was held in July. That's based on quarter two. If you have missed this, you can just go to YouTube again. Once again, it's open to the public. One of the things that I think many clients have said is not just about us sharing, but it's also about us putting all this information very openly. Oh, by the way, we also have a lot of fellow Hutton's agents, also agents from other agencies. You're more than welcome, all right, to come and pick up, learn, so that the entire market will get to know all this latest information and be more aware and be able to make decisions, all right, wiser decisions in a sense. So let's first answer the question, why are we here? It is unfortunately a webinar. We can't do a lot of face-to-face, but we all know, I think, the market, very common after, 12 years in the market, every day, still every weekend, every month, where we meet clients, we meet sellers. Every buyer does not want to overpay. Am I right? I'm sure there are buyers and sellers, by the way, among all of you, right? And every seller obviously does not want to undersell. But like we said, after so many years, we're still figuring out, okay, what is the right price? What is the fair price, optimal price for a particular landed property in a particular area, for example? And do you know, after 10, 12 years, or maybe even for the next 12 years, we will still find this a very difficult question or question to answer because of two reasons. Okay, one is I think landed properties is a lot more complex than non-landed ones because of the multitude of factors. Okay, we're not just talking about, let's say, size, location, number of rooms, for example. There's a lot of other things as well, like the built-up area, the build quality, the number of stories, the exact location, the environment, etc., etc. Okay, that's one, and those keeps changing, right? And the number two is that the market keeps evolving. When we say market, means it's made up of basically three parties. You have the buyers, you have the sellers, and also the types of houses as well also keeps evolving. So even though with our vast experience and mind you, all of us here are very focused, frankly, especially the management team here, we only do landed. All right. We would like to proclaim to say that we spend obviously most of our time here, but still every time we meet a new case, buyer, seller, every time is a learning opportunity. Okay. So with this, I think one of the so-called main source information to allow us to make a lot more, I would say, accurate prediction of what is happening is about whether the optimal price is being set, okay, and whether you are purchasing at also like at the optimal price for this particular type of product or house, okay. So that's why we've been doing this on a quarterly basis, and today is just one of the many webinars that we're here, and we hope to share this our latest insights. Okay, when we say latest means as of just now, I think you can see a bit. Cindric and I were just talking, still changing some numbers as we speak. Okay, all right. So with this, I'm going to share with you what are we going to cover. Is this just your basic near one-liner? Let's say you read newspapers or maybe just one chart that you see on perhaps volume or value, for example, all right, medium price or average price. No, it's not. Okay, we're going to go deep dive. When I mean deep dive, we're going into not just a total market, but the market subsegments that you will know in a while, a few minutes time. And very importantly, okay, regardless of where you are staying, I think the geographical region, geographical district, and also the house types, all this will come into picture in a while, right? Starting west, east, etc. And then hopefully we have some time, last 15 minutes, to round this up in regards to the topic and of course to this quarterly finding, all right? And of course, leaving some time for Q&A. By the way, this is a live webinar, so if there's some questions, feel free to just key into the this, what do you call this chat button. You can chat with us directly, or the panelists, which are my team of leaders here. We'll do our best, all right, to address, no matter how specific it is, all right, because all of us, as I said, landed is very big, but it's very fragmented, so to speak. So challenge us, okay, with your questions. All right, without further ado, let's just go to the simplest chart to understand, and it's something that we have been looking forward to for the last 3 months. Okay, this is basically on 2025 quarter three transaction value. I'm going to pause here because it's the simplest chart, only one line. All right, so you can see here after a dip. By the way, the theme of this webinar, we call it surprises. All right, aplenty. Okay, why? Because in the last quarter, I think the overall outlook overall, if not even the mood, was a lot more gloomy. I think the word we summarized then was to be cautiously optimistic, okay, with focus on cautious. Because in quarter two, a lot of things were happening. I think not just locally, globally, there was a start of the global trade wars. There's a lot of uncertainty. The market took a dip in terms of both, I think, volume and value. You can see from here, value, right? While we were hoping the year, which has started well at 2,000 per square feet, in quarter two, it dipped below 2,000 again. And this quarter, it went back above 2,000 square feet. And not just that, at $2,075 per square feet. By the way, all these are based on land, all right, based on land. This has not just rebounded, but this is setting a brand new record. Okay, brand new record for landed property price index at 2075. Okay, we started the year, if you can see here, we have given, I think, 2 years. So the year started, we were hopeful that you will cross 2,000 on average, because you can see last few years, it was just at 1,007. Now it's at 2,000, right? Of course, importantly, next year, will it start the year at 2,001 or not, shall remain to be seen, okay? So again, I think if you're buyers, sellers, there are a lot of stakeholders here. The numbers may mean differently to different stakeholders. Okay, as a buyer, you might be maybe feeling a bit more stressed because you have to cough up more money with every 3 months. You have to wait. Sellers might probably be more relieved that the price that you want to achieve may finally be closer, right, to your target, for example. Okay, but then again, this is just one line. All right, this is one line. In 1 year, in 3 quarters, sorry, every quarter, 400 plus, 300 to 400 transactions were made, right, to result in this. So let me just show you the volume. How many? Okay. Oops, sorry. Let's see if can you see the screen? No. Can you see the screen? Okay. All right. So, okay, can you see the volume now? 400 plus transactions were made. So Volume has also gone up, right? We saw a 4% increase just now in terms of value. Volume is quite flat, but it's still a positive uptick. The volume is basically the bars, yeah? So the green and the red. Red means it's a decline from the previous one. So we are now seeing two consecutive growth, though slight, okay, in terms of volume. At about 450, you can tell versus the last few years, this is really one of the highest, especially after the post-COVID peak in 2021. All right. So what does this 450 transactions tell us? Really, this is the simplest, and we're going to now start to dissect and go into the various so-called segments. But one thing to take note, at plus 1% this quarter, year on year, January to September, right, for the first 9 months, is really a very pretty impressive growth of already plus 8%, right, versus the first 9 months of last year as well. Okay. So for I think agent friends who are in the market, or if you have been selling your house, if you see transactions, the data being passed to you, you should be able to know that generally transaction volume is a lot healthier than last year. Okay. So with this, what's the first way that we can dissect this? Now, I think we are probably the only team besides, we are the only team, I think, in the market who dissects the market in a way that nobody has. And one of the more popular one based on feedback was this next few slides we're going to show, right? Which is in terms of price range. Because with 400 plus transactions, where does your house fall under? The first way to look at that is based on price range. Okay. How many of you here are thinking of transacting, either buying or selling a house, a landed house under 5 million? How many are in the middle, 5 to 10, and how many are above 10, for example? Okay, you see the percentage here. 55%, the bracket was basically last quarter. For below $5 million, that is more entry level. That also makes up the majority of all the transactions, followed by 36% and then 9%. Now, this quarter, the first surprise you probably have already seen. This is the first time that under $5 million, the transaction value has fallen below half of the transaction in the market for the first time, right? From 55% drop to 48%. Okay, 48%. Does that give you the first clue of why prices are rising? Okay, or not? Let's take a look. This is a zero-sum game, by the way, with market share lost to below 5 million means that the bigger brothers, the 5 to 10 million and above $10 million is now has made up more than 10% of the market. All right. Okay, the next slide, I'm going to pause a bit, let you digest the numbers if this is the first time. Okay, starting from the bottom first, this is the summary that we saw from 55 to 48%, you see, 36 to 40, etc. Now, this is the weightage. All right. Respectively, you want to see the various breakdown of the different price range, 4 to 5, 6, 7, you can take a look, but I want to bring your attention to this part. All right. Very, very big drop in the less than $5 million transactions. Okay. Next will be the rest. If you all can see, you can screenshot this if you want to. Right. But the important thing I want to bring your attention to is the next one. This is on the transacted price range. Okay. Price range here we have, firstly, you can see average PSF, that's per square feet, all right, based on land again. There's an average price, and then there's an average size. I'm going to come to the size and the price in a while. The important thing that you can see here is for the last quarter, average per square feet, just now we saw 4%, right, from 1,009. Now it's about 2075, not 2001. Now, average price is interesting because this is the first time we've crossed $6 million, all right? We're inching at that 5.95 million last quarter, and now that means you can safely tell either anyone in Singapore or tell your friends outside Singapore to buy a landed property in Singapore, it will cost you an average of $6.26 million. This is a significant increase of 5%, all right, in just one quarter, right? However, the size of each property has actually dropped from 3,002 to 3,001. Okay, 3,002 to 3,000, still about 3,000 square feet, but later you start to see in terms of the breakdown, what constitute this. You can see that the blue one above $10 million, even though you may think, oh, a lot of people, first you take a look at the PSF, right? This has gone up, okay, from above $10 million. Average price and average size, this is the interesting part. While all these higher value properties have been transacted, but the price and the size has actually gone down. and pretty significantly, especially those above 50 million or above 25 million, all right? So does this mean that the richer people or the bigger houses sold? Basically, only the smaller ones have, the bigger ones have fallen out of favor, right? This is one interesting observation that we've had. So you have basically the smaller, below 5 million shrinking. You also have the highest volume one. Yes, the price, the PSF has gone up, but that's also because the average price have come down. All right. One very surprising observation that we made here. Okay. If you need me to stay on the screen for 1 to 2 more seconds, just feel free to raise your hands. All right. Because there's a lot of numbers here. I'm sure. Let me just remove this first. You might be taking a look, by the way, if you're looking at some certain popular districts, for example, not districts, sorry, popular price range. I think the one with the highest weightage, let me just show here. Oh, sorry, hold on. Okay. Biggest weightage is the 4 to 5 million, by the way. That's the biggest, was from 28% to 23%. And of course, among our clients as well, because it's not just entry level, but also covers a lot of the other 99-year strata as well. Okay, so you can see that the price 4444, for example, this is how you should read the chart. Right, let me just move on. What other observations can we get? Okay, so firstly, let's summarize by, I think, recapping that the value grew, volume also increased, and the new value record was set. So lower value segments, I think the share has dropped below 50% for the first time. 5 to 9 has gone up 40%, and above 10 million has increased. So if you're talking about, it's almost like inflation, right? Share of your grocery price, cars, etc. Landed property prices have also gone up. So this is one very clear way of expressing, besides saying things are getting more expensive, PSF, etc. But you can tell within the segment itself that the higher value ones are increasing in terms of volume share. Now, the next part is about the different house types, terrace versus semi versus detached. Right? I don't know how many of you are looking at terrace versus semi versus detached. This is almost quite, it almost reflects basically just now that three price range that we saw. Okay, so you have terrace forming usually the largest and detached the lowest by sheer volume of the supply. So you can see here, not surprising after knowing that terrace have fallen from 59%, now it's 56%. Semi-D and detached have actually taken over the share, right? This incremental 3% share. Okay, what is not too much of a alarm, let's take a look at basically the volume here. So you have detached, semi-D, these are the volume, right? So let's go by terrace first. That almost about 60%, right? So terrace have dropped by 4%, okay? But semi-D and detached have actually increased. Now, this is also quite unusual because we always see terraces leading in terms of volume evolution, all right? Why has it happened this time? So for, you can see for detached semi-D, if the market is generally improving, okay, why has terraces dropped? Okay, I think if you're later, my teammates will share with you. The biggest drop for terraces actually come from three main districts. One is District 13, one is District 20. 13 is the Matheson Senate side. 20 and District 28, okay, at this Yio as well as Seletar. I'll let Sean as well as Jason to share with you later. But because sometimes when you look at the numbers, this is almost 14, right? 14. Basically, two of the three districts mentioned already make up 14 in terms of the reduction in terms of volume. By and large, the rest are pretty okay, right? Now, this is an indication, by the way, to let you know, while I explain to you here, please, while we take a look at the number, we really have to dissect it further before you conclude. You can't say if minus 4% means, let's say I stay in Bukit Timah, District 10 and 11, therefore all the terraces there will drop by 4%. In fact, it is the reverse. Later, we will share with you. All right. So this is a broad market analysis, just to know, respectively, in terms of the three house types, what are generally moving better. Okay. And we see semi-D, I think even our team as well, will be selling more semi-D and detached in July, August, and September. Okay. So becomes the worst performing category, right? Once another surprise for us. Now let's take a look at the value. Does the drop in the volume, all right, or the rise in the volume actually has a reflection, or does it affect the value? So let's take a look at terrace again. while it suffered a drop in volume, but actually the value increased by the opposite direction, right? 4.1%. In fact, now it has reached almost $2,002 per square feet for a terrace in Singapore. And this is a new record, and soon I don't think it will take long, probably even before the end of the year, for us to reach more than 2,002, okay, per square feet. And likewise for Semi-D almost reached a new high, almost. Okay, you see almost 1,009 on this side, 1,898 per square feet, all right? And then Detached, and that 1,980. Detached is the surprising one at 12.6%. Okay, 12.6%. Let me just show you here. So upvalued the most and set a brand new record of almost 2,000 per square feet. Now, then again, if you have followed us before, you would probably know that there's a very comfortable gap between Terrace, Semi-D, and Detached, with Terrace always leading, followed by Semi-D in terms of PSF, right? Then Detached being the largest. By right, you should have the smallest or lowest PSF. But you can see now, for the first time, or not for the first time, one of the rare times where Detached has actually overtaken Semi-D. One of the reasons that you will soon start to realize is that a lot of the Detached being sold were actually newer this time around compared to the older ones. And likewise, Semi-Ds that were sold, some were more of the older ones. But I think some of the indication here, if I had to give you some insights, is that, by the way, GCB grew in quarter three. Sorry, the volume actually dropped, right, in quarter three. Only 5 were sold versus quarter two of 10. However, the average value went up to almost the highest. Now it's average price of almost 29 million for a GCB. GCB is part of Detached, all right? It's part of Detached. So this constitute this plus also the average increase in the PSF as well. Just now I mentioned about 29 million. For GCBs now, the PSF is 2,130. This is the highest on record ever in the last 5 years, if not ever, right? So that helps to contribute to that. And later I'll let the various district ICs, especially in Bukit Timah, where Detached forms a higher percentage, to explain to you what has caused the increase. Okay. Now, next will be Freehold 999 versus 99 years. Now, how many of you here are looking to buy or sell your 99? As we speak, I actually happen to have an offer for a 99. Our team have 99-year Detached and the 616 as we speak. So the numbers here will be quite interesting. Okay, let's first take a look at basically the proportion first. So from 86%, now it increased to 88%. Okay, pretty healthy. And what was 14% for 99 years now is 12%. Okay, what has caused this? Let me just show you first. Now, this is the price. Freehold, of course, it makes up majority of the total market. So total market is 207, right? 2075. This is now almost 2002 for Freehold, similar to almost like the Terrace house price that you saw just now. So Freehold 999 growing the same tandem as total market, not surprising. Let's take a look at 99. Okay, 99 years. You can see for this quarter rebound, like we said. This is is probably the only subsegment that has suffered a decline in both ways. Firstly, in both volume and value, and in both consecutive quarters. All right. So volume has dropped by 11 and then value by 4. And it's been 2 consecutive quarters. The main reason, if you have been with us probably a few quarters ago, we know the significant impact of this project called Poland Collection, right? In this quarter, there is zero Poland Collection 99-year new development district 28 being sold. All right. And Poland Collection is very significant because the average transacted price was more than 2013, the last record. All right. That's one main reason for this decline. Another reason was there is a $300 per square feet. Okay, 300, I'm not joking. All right, not 1,003 or 200, $300 per square feet of this 99-year transaction at the Mayfair Park at Upper Bukit Timah site. Okay, because this house has only 26 years, I believe 21 or 26 years lease left. All right, only $300. So out of 54, that has actually reduced in terms of the value as well. If I were to take these two out, actually the growth is pretty much the volume evolution, and the value is not that bad. All right, it's not that bad because I think this Poland Collection has come in and distorted, I think, the numbers for quite some time already, right? But by and large, majority above, I think, except for one estate out of the probably almost 20, 99 that has been estate have been transacted. Majority are above 1,000. Okay. Now, next, let's talk about new versus resale. New houses. New means really by developers, whether they are the big scale 4 units. I think there's one developer now. There's 8 units, for example. Majority are also single units or pair. All right. So resale obviously take up majority 98 and 2. No surprise here. Also, resale just like the freehold and triple nine. In fact, it forms a bigger volume. All right. So it's very similar to the overall market movement. 3.8 and 2 respectively. Now let's take a look at new houses. All right, what's happening in new houses? Finally, the prices, as with the exception of quarter four 2023, has finally crossed $3,000 per square feet. Okay, again, because it's been minus that for a while. Remember the Poland collection, that's considered brand new as well. So because we're looking at a lot of brand new houses, a lot of them are asking 3,005 per square feet and above, for example, except for the other more outskirts area. All right. So this has crossed more than 3,000, 313. This is one of the largest increase now, 26.8% increase. Okay. Even though the volume dropped by 2. Okay, 22%, but it's not very significant, only 2 has dropped. And basically, what has caused the main increase for this very big rise in terms of value is that all the new houses sold in quarter 3 are actually inter-terraces. Okay, whereas in quarter 2, there were actually 2 semi-Ds being sold. So inter-terraces, despite being the very high PSF, but the quantum now a lot are crossing 5 million, have already crossed 5 million. Some are crossing 6, and now we're pushing the boundary of maybe 7 or 8 in some of the more popular districts. And the PSF buyers for brand new terraces are generally less sensitive because they're looking at overall quantum, right? You want a brand new house for 3 stories, 4 stories, build up area of $4,000 to $5,000. They are looking mainly based on that because anything less than that, it doesn't make sense for a developer to go and build. Okay, so that's for new houses here, and huge growth and a record. Okay, next we're going to look at another sub-segment, which is a strata. Okay, strata lender. Although the numbers we have presented and going to present does not cover strata, it would be good for us to know that they actually covers used to be about 12%, but the last quarter shows a very, very big increase to 16%. Okay, to 16%. And let's take a look at the prices. All right. So the price actually is pretty flat, almost 2%. So we're still hovering at $1,000 per square feet. Okay, it's strangely not going in the same direction of 99-year landed. Okay, strata here, by the way, it could be freehold or 99. The main difference, of course, is they don't have land, or obviously, right? It's a strata title. But because of their price point, a lot of consumers, clients, even agents like to compare them together. Okay, the PSF for still about the same, but you can see that the volume has gone up very significantly at a 38% increase. Okay, so one main reason for this is I think the proliferation of comparison. Because by the way, 1,000 is not based on land, it's based on built-up area. And for example, condos, new launches, etc. What is 1,000? I think there's something that you never probably heard in the last 1 to 2 decades in a sense, right? So with that comparison, new launches at 2008, 2009, at $1,000 per square feet, it seems to make such a asset class a lot more attractive, not to mention the overall value. Okay, so whether this continues in terms of the trend, whether this will pick up, overtake 99-year, this remains to be seen. By 83 units, this is considered. Can you see in the these 2 quarters, except for quarter 2, 2023, this is the highest volume so far in the last 2 years. Okay. Oh, pardon the error there. Okay, now this is a good summary. If you want to screenshot anything, I think this is one good slide for you to see. So let's just first start from here, the top, right? So this is the value growth, volume. These are the various types. And you can see now, in terms of performance, one glance, there are more blues than reds. Okay, there are more blues than reds. Blues are all the positive and reds are the negative. Take a look at firstly the blues first, right? Better performance are value of detached. Just now I mentioned almost 2,000 per square feet. Strata in terms of volume as well as new houses value, right? Crossing 3,000. The not so good performance, sorry, there's also detached in terms of volume as well, right? The underperformers will be 99. It's a double rate here. And of course, the new house, but I think this is quite negligible, only 2 units, right? So by and large, almost every sector has improved in this quarter, with the exception of 99 years, all right? 99-year landed. Okay. So what can we summarize? I won't go through this again. Detached going up, emerging as the brighter stars. Okay, quite. I think it's been. Have we ever even mentioned this as one of the topics in any of our webinar? Very unlikely. So later, open our eyes, ears, all right, to the various district ICs to share with you more about their detached performance. Okay, new houses as well. Okay, amount of shrinking segments 99, and then less new houses was also, etc. Okay. All right. Now we're going to a very interesting part. Okay, very interesting part of the summary of the analysis, because we are going to dissect the market firstly into core, non-core districts, and then into the various districts. Right, core versus non-core is, as I explained many webinars ago, is the way that we segment the market. Instead, if you're in condos, they use a CCR, etc. Right, but I think it's in terms of landed based on the volume that each district generates. We divide them into first core are these 11 districts. Okay, from northeast, east, central, and west. 11 districts making about 85% of all the transactions, and then the rest will be considered as non-core. Okay, so to make it a bit more simple, rather than a CCR, OCR, RCR, so to speak. Okay, because there are some places, by some districts, 4 to 5 districts, there's no landed properties at all. Okay, right? So these are the core, non-core. You can see now also reflecting the weightage of transactions. Not much of a change, 86 to 85, 14 to 15. Okay, let's take a closer look now. Okay, so this is first the transaction volume. We already saw at the bottom, right, it's plus 1%. But what made up the 1%? Let's first dissect based on core and non-core. Who contributes to this? Okay, so out of the 1%, the increase, core districts continue to outshine in terms of, in terms of core districts. This time round, unfortunately, has reversed. It used to be core districts contributing to the increase, but this time around is the non-core districts that have actually increased, and it's pretty significant, right, by 13%. All right. One thing that's interesting here is a few districts or few insights that we saw. One is District 26, 26, that's not stated here, particularly the Lentor and Springleaf area. All right, Lentor, Springleaf, they have transacted their all-time high of 22 units. Can you see? 22 out of 69. It's almost 1/3. That's District 26 alone. Okay, 26 is almost equivalent to, and if not higher than, some of the core districts here. I think part of the reason is, of course, you know the development by Guoco, the Lentor area, and of course the Springleaf is slowly catching up as well. All right, so that has caused, that's one of the main reasons. And also we have certain outliers like District 1. There's a conservation shop house sold Blair Road. There were also, later we'll show you, Sentosa transactions being done, Pasir Panjang as well. I think if you combine the three together, District 1, District 4, District 5, maybe I think even landed owners are starting to catch on this southern waterfront development, all right? Because you can see that the districts there, in terms of transactions, is picking up, right? What else can we see? We already saw just now in terms of detached, and needless to say, a lot of the detached are located in these 4 districts here, 10, 11, 21, 23. So, and the volume has actually hosted, I think, one of the strongest we've ever had. It's not just a high single digit, it's not just a double digit, but they're almost like 30-40%. Okay, so later you can see the main reasons from the various district IC. But from central, and so this is what I call central, right? 10, 11, 21, 23. I think some insights that we got, maybe a lot of so-called, we say, wealthy people are switching the wealth from cash, liquid cash or investments, because I think interest rate is coming down. So usually we see this inverse effects. When it's coming down, doesn't make much sense to put this money, cash, into savings, for example. It might be better for them to take this out and put into more illiquid but more stable capital assets like property. Okay, so and on the other side of the flip chart, you will see northeast area. Okay, east is basically just some plus and minuses, which is fine. You see also the northeast region having a consistent decrease from 19, District 20, and District 20 as well, right? Especially when District 19 always the champion in terms of volume for the entire market. Okay, so one reason is that we have already seen a lot of buyers who cannot afford or find houses limited in terms of what they want in District 19, 20, even 20, and 28. Slowly going into District 26. Okay, I think the growth of District 26 is directly inversely connected to, I think, the movement in Northeast area. Okay. Now, next we go to value. Okay, go to value. Let's first come to the bottom first. We saw the 4.1 just now. Here, now there's no surprise, although core districts and the volume does not actually went down. But for core, in terms of value, actually core districts generated more of the growth. Now it's crossed 2,001 per square feet already. Okay, and these are the various districts by, I think, the performance. One thing to take note is a few things to take note. You can see District 10 and 11, all right, a very good growth. You can see 10 here hitting 2004. Here later, we will share with you that two main reasons is that the semi-Ds used to be transacted at 2002 last quarter. They are now all at an average of 2005. I'm talking about District 10, yeah? And then terraces were at 2003 last quarter. Now they were transacted at 2009 per square feet on average, all right? Therefore, bring everything up to almost 2005. And in District 11, big rise as well, but I can tell you later, we will share with you as well. Main reason we have, or two main reasons, but two very stark reasons is that there were two $4,000 per square feet, two transactions that crossed 4,000, okay, in this particular district, right? And then let's take a look at another district. District 20 also grew very strong. And it's one district where every house type, terrace, semi-D, and detached, all increased, okay? And more particularly, there were 4 terraces that crossed for the first time, not for the first time, but the most number of transactions that crossed $3,000 per square feet in District 20, all right? And there were also detached transactions crossing 2003, when the last one was only less than 1,005. Okay, so these are some of the main reasons why they attributed to the growth in these few districts. For those staying in the non-core, or you were influenced by what I said about either District 26, Lentor, or Southern Waterfront, some of this might be interesting to you. Non-core, let's take a look at the bottom first. You can see that still maintaining about 1,007, 1,008. The growth is quite balanced in a sense, almost flat at almost 2%. Interesting here is you will have, pardon me, let me see whether some transactions here. Sorry, I think there was one slide that's come up, but one thing to take note of here, because you can see a lot of districts here, some they don't have transactions for the particular season, all right, or for that particular period. But you could see that District 4 over here, right, this is where just now the two Sentosa transactions that come up. And this itself is really 1,008, some of the highest ones, okay? Now the next slide, okay, let's just take down for a while first. Next slide looks a lot more complicated, but less again is actually very useful for us to understand the movement in terms of just now about quantum and affordability, right? Because PSF is just one way to measure price. Okay, one way to measure price. But what's going to hurt your pocket the most is the absolute dollars that's going to come up. So just now we already saw a sneak peek from 5.9. Now it's crossed 6 million, right? 5% growth. So let's see what is the movement in terms of the others. So core district was at 6.3. Now it has crossed the 6.5. An average house in the core districts now is $6.6 million, all right? Increased by 4%. Whereas the rest of the more affordable, sorry, let me just go back here first, okay? 4% growth. Okay, the size more or less has dropped by 3%, but I think the important thing part for us to see here is there were a couple of districts, right? A few districts here that shows a double decline. Okay, double decline. Just how we mentioned briefly about District 10, while the price have gone up in terms of PSF, but both the price and size have come down. 10, 11, District 15, another popular district. All right, people are buying smaller houses there. All right, smaller houses and also slightly spending less. What used to be 6 point something mil, now it has dropped below 6 million, right, for District 15. Then you have District 20, 28, reasons I explained earlier. Okay, so double dip in all these districts. Okay, next we're going to look at, pardon me, non-core districts. Though just now we saw increase in terms of transaction, but the value is still at a very affordable 4.5 million. Despite growing by 10%, it shows a bigger increase. Instead of 4, it grew by 10%. It's still at 4.5 million on average, even though we have big transactions like 40 million ones that you see. Okay, yeah, this is the one we say. D4 rebounded with 2 detached sales in Sentosa. But by and large, you still find this outskirts, non-core or OCR, as what you can say, as pretty still affordable for you to stretch your dollar, especially when you find options in landed properties. Okay. So what can we digest from here or conclude? Among the stringing segments, 99 declined the most, all right? Although new houses, so we mentioned, less was sold, but the value grew in the opposite direction, like we mentioned earlier. Now, core districts grew by 4.6 versus non-core, but non-core's price growth, just now we saw, 10%, actually outperformed the former. So this theme about decentralization, pardon the typo, decentralization, okay, decentralization, meaning that a lot more buyers, now we are seeing that if they cannot find something in the core districts, they will go outskirts, or not outskirts, they will venture out, all right, to some of these less popular districts to find a better value house, because again, that is reflected by the higher volume, also larger houses transacted, and also at a higher price quantum. With almost a $2 million gap, I think there's still between this and the core region, I believe there's a lot of room for growth, right, for the non-core to catch up the rest, right? Regions and districts performance. So you have Central and West, a lead in terms of volume growth, all right, 38%, 18%. Northeast declined the most. But for value-wise, you have District 11, 10, and 20 that deliver the highest value growth. Now, with this, I say good. I hope you had a good summary of the market, better understanding now. Do let us know if this is something that you have heard for the first time, especially if you have attending this, all right? Your first attempt. If you find this interesting, please go to your Hutton's agent or HLD lender consultants, right, for more details. But now I'm going to pass to the various district ICs. If you think just now was interesting, wait till you hear what the gentleman had to say, right, in terms of the various districts. So starting from, basically, we're going to go into West region, which is here, 21, 23. And for this, I'll pass over to Cindric.
Okay, thanks, Willie. All right, hi, I'm Cindric. Let's first dive into District 21. Okay, so at a glance, so there are like 50% more transactions for this quarter. Basically, it translates to 14 units versus last quarter, and then this quarter, Q3, 21 units. Sorry, not this quarter, Q2 and Q3. We're already in Q4. Okay, so average price increased by 4.4%, mainly contributed by the terrace houses, because in Q3, right, there are more bigger corner terraces that were being sold. And as for the PSF wise, we see a decrease of about 10%. So the PSF was, which we'll dive deeper later on, kind of dragged down by the semi-Ds, because they were a bit more older semi-D that are like worthy for tearing down and rebuild. Okay, which we'll dive deeper, as I mentioned. Okay, so what does it mean for you for a buyer when you look at District 21? The terrace houses first, average price increased by 15%, and then the average PSF decreased by 5.6%. So basically, the terrace house, right? As I mentioned before just now, there are more corner terrace. It pull up the overall quantum average price, but logic, we know that the bigger the plot, the PSF tends to be asking more reasonably, right? So, and then for the semi-D, okay, the average price decreased by 5%, and then the PSF decreased by 12%. This is what I'll be talking about later on. Why? We want to get into the psyche of why. I mean, if you're a buyer looking at semi-D for D21, why is it like rate in terms of both average price and average PSF? So hold your horses. Okay, I'm gonna dive deeper into this later on. Now, as for the detached wise, I take out basically one outlier transaction in Q3 because this was a house I think mentioned briefly by Willie earlier. The PSF was only 355, if I'm not wrong, 300 plus per square foot. Outlier because it's a 99-year leasehold detached house with the lease down to just about 30 years left. So if you remove that, we noticed that the average price decreased by 16% and the average PSF is a whopping 31. Why? Because, okay, frankly, there were only, if you compare, there were only three houses for both quarters, Q2 and Q3. Now, for Q3, this last quarter, the house that was sold is this Hua Guan Avenue, Upper Danian, a detached house, kind of well-kept condition with pool, and the land size was about 4,800. Whereas Q2, there were two bigger houses, both 7,000+ square feet. However, they were outside of Hua Guan area, Upper Danian area. So one was at beg your pardon, Cheng Soon area, and the other one was sold at Cheng Soon, and the other one, let me try to recall. Basically, Sunset, yes. So what does this tell us? This tells that, whenever there's transaction, we know that D21, as far as D21 is concerned, the creme de la creme houses are always Hua Guan area. Okay, and of course, the size does make a factor, plays a part. Bigger plot, PSF lower. So Hua Guan only one 4,000+ square feet detached house, and at Hua Guan itself, thereby the PSF went up. So you see the disparity, like wow, the PSF instantly jumped by so much. Okay. So GCB, nothing to talk about because there wasn't any transaction in Q2. So, okay, let's look at the chart toppers first. Okay. For basically for the lowest transacted quantum price, right? We have this at 232 Kong Garden. Okay, was transacted lowest for Q3. It's really crossed 4 billion, beg your pardon, 4.43 billion. And then King Albert Park GCB, the only GCB transacted for Q3 at 1,415 per square foot. Okay. Now, interestingly, the GCB also takes the cake for the highest quantum transaction at 23 million. Okay. And then for the highest PSF, it goes to this Sin Tuan Avenue. Once again, Upper Danian, Hua Guan, Sin Tuan area, same location. So it's not a brand new house, and yet the PSF wise is really touching almost 3,000. But this one is a bit more unique. Look at the land size. This is a small semi-D. Okay, it's only 1,900+ square feet, not even 200 square meter, which is the bare minimum usually for a semi-D. That's why it kind of took a while to sell, but eventually still transacted, right, at this PSF. Quantum-wise, however, is more palatable. Of course, it's 5.55 mil. Okay, deeper dive. Okay, this is what I mentioned I want to talk about. So this 21, let's look at the semi-Ds. Okay, so 21 units transacted. So 50% increment, right, in terms of volume. Mainly majority contributed by the semi-D. Look at semi-D, it's 100% growth. Okay, so if you look at the figure-wise in terms of average sales, the value, okay, and the PSF is almost like a sea of red, saved by except by TOE zone. Okay, so does that mean if you're looking at semi-D and D21, does it mean that wow, okay, prices has come down? It's time to look at semi-D district 21. Okay, not necessarily. So because of this, right, a lot of rates we have to dive deeper. So upon further checks and investigation, right, we realize that, no doubt the bulk of the volume increase, contributed by the semi-Ds, uh, when transaction volume goes up, it tends to sometimes, more often than not, push up, the prices and the PSF, right? However, for this case, we dive deeper, we realize that, it appears that both average PSF and value have dropped for the semi-D. Why? Okay, upon deeper dive, it is revealed that there were more older houses sold in Q3. Okay, those were like, single story, 40 plus years old, good for tear down and rebuild. That's why inevitably this drags down the price. Not to mention there was also a single story, 99-year leasehold house, semi-D also sold in Rifle Range area. The lease was only 26 years left. So this inevitably drags down the average price, PSF and PSF negatively. Okay, so these were the houses that I'm talking about. So Q2 there was only one this same condition kind of houses versus Q3 there were four of them, right? You look at the pictures, it speaks 1,000 words. This one old single story, and then this one long driveway, etc. And these are all pretty similar condition houses. Okay, so sometimes we got to dive deeper, and this is what we are here for, to help you understand the market condition. Cannot just look at the surface, or that doesn't, just because it's red does not necessarily means that, the houses they are looking for is a bargain time right now. Okay, for more details, of course, feel free to approach any of us. Now, very quickly for D21 hot listings that we have. Okay, pardon the jump in the slides sequence. Okay, we have this Kismis place. Firstly, the semi-D. Land 4,300 plus, pretty good size. I think if I'm not wrong, this one can be detached to break away to form a detached house. Cannot? No. Okay, sorry, beg your pardon. Okay, but the quantum ones is quite palatable, 7.88 mil. Okay, next, if you look at the next house at Kismis, okay, slightly bigger plot and also a semi-D. This one is a moving condition house, 5 bedrooms. If you're okay with such design, this is actually a 3-story zone, semi-D, mixed landed zone. If you want, you can build up to 3.5 story. But as it is, if you're okay with this condition, very expensive land size, and also within the house, good layout, everything. Just 2-story. Is good size, and it's asking 10.3. Very convenient walking distance to MRT, to all the hustle and bustle, all the upcoming, beauty world transformation. Right, it's like 5 minutes or lesser walk away. Okay, and next I want to talk about this very interesting plot. Okay, this is at Jurong Kechil area. This one is a one title house. It's ideal for investors because there were 4 semi-Ds built on this one title plot. Now, they are tenanted for investors, right? If you want to explore, probably looking at shop houses, to get a good returns, etc. This is the other alternative because each unit averaging rental, the semi-D is about 12,000 plus. The asking is right now currently at this price 24 million. So if you can bargain down, knock down a bit, the yield can be quite interesting versus a strata, those conservative shop house. So the other thing is it can the other type of buyer I think suitable for this would be a multi-gen, family, can stay together, or want to stay together in this one plot. It has a swimming pool as well, like a communal thing. It's not strata, but it's built like a strata. So this is something really interesting, seldom come by. So if you want to explore this, feel free to approach us. Okay. The other one is a GCB, is a boutique GCB. Land size is only 11 plus thousand, and current calling price. This is Kampong Chantek, near to Swiss Club and then the Binjai area, right? Okay, 24 mil. Now, so lastly, these are all the houses available in District 21. Come and approach any of us for any of the category type of houses that you're looking at. Okay, very quickly, I'll go to District 23 next. Okay, at a glance, so for District 23, this Q3, there are 6% more transactions. Basically, 6% translate to just one transaction more versus Q2, 18 versus 19 for Q3. Okay, average price increased by 2.2%, quite muted. Basically, there are more newer condition terrace houses that were being sold. Okay, average PSF decreased but slightly by a 3.9% dip. Okay, now what does this mean for you? Oops, what does this mean for you for a buyer? A terrace, okay, for terrace, the increase is about 11+% and PSF is increase of about 2.2%. So basically, terrace for Q3, right? There were more bigger and newer plots that were being transacted. That's why you see the blue uptick. Okay, as for semi-D, okay, I've removed also outlier, short remaining tenant houses not considered. Also, so removing the outlier, you look at the figure, especially the PSF is like quite a daunting, dip of 30+%. Once again, I'm gonna talk more about semi-D for D23 later on. We'll be dive deeper. Okay, and then for detached, there were no transaction in Q2, nothing to talk about, and the GCB. Okay, GCB is pretty muted, about the same. Basically, the difference is only due to mainly the land size. For Q3 transaction, the GCB that was sold is slightly smaller versus the two others that were sold in the previous quarter. So thereby, the PSF not much teeth, and then the decrease in terms of the quantum price, right? So chart toppers, very quickly, we have this over here. Pavilion, lowest quantum. Surprisingly, Pavilion always take the whenever the transaction, they tend to be chart toppers. This time around, lowest quantum. We're talking about Freehold, by the way. Freehold first. Okay. And then Hong San Walk, okay, lowest PSF. Okay, and then this was the GCB transacted, as I mentioned. Okay, it's a boutique GCB, 9,000 square feet, and then Pavilion naturally always takes the cake for the highest PSF. Okay, 99-year leasehold. Okay, this one, Jalan Uji area, this house takes the lowest PSF and lowest quantum because the lease is only about 26 years left. Okay, naturally it takes the lowest quantum and lowest PSF. You look at the PSF, yeah, 300 plus only. Okay, in terms of highest quantum is this house at Almond Street, 99-year leasehold, so 3.9 semi-D, and highest PSF is at Verde. Okay, now deeper dive very quickly. Okay, so there seems to be a surge in demand for the semi, because usually for D23, right, most of the transaction, 75 to 80, sometimes 80% are terraces. Okay, because we have the most number of terraces in D23. Some of them are 99-year leasehold. So semi-D transaction usually 2, 1, sometimes 0, 3 at most. This time around, 6. Okay, so there seems to be a surge in terms of demand for semi-D. So if you try to understand the psyche of buyer, what they want to buy semi-Ds in this time around, in 23, right? Some of the possible draw, it could be because of the sizable land plots and the palatable PSF. We're talking about below 1,500, below 1,005 PSF. We're talking about freehold and 999 leasehold houses. Okay, so it's proven, such freehold 999 below 1,005 getting harder and harder to find, right? So, but it still can be had. You still can find them at D23, mainly Hong San Walk and Phoenix area. Right, okay. So you look at the volume, 6 this time round. Okay. So even if you add in as an end user point of view, right? If you add in the cost for redeveloping or A&A or recon, etc., you can eventually still have a brand new house at low 8 actually, 8 mil or lower, and at a low cost, brand new, but mind you, at low 2,000 PSF. Okay, some examples we can show you here. This one, freehold, land 3.6, good size. Once again, freehold. Okay, sold at 4.8. So, and then the PSF is 1,003 plus only. So we add on the cost to rebuild even, you can still land about 8 mil. Yeah, or lower. In fact, this one, sorry, we can only take area view because it's near MINDEF. Okay, so it's freehold, almost 4,000 land size, 5 mil, and 1,003 PSF. Okay, next example, this one bigger land size 4,000. Okay, 1,003 only the PSF. Okay, because bigger land size, so it's about 5.25 mil. Still possible to land about 8 mil if you do a A&A or recon, or lower 7 mil even if you do a A&A. Okay, and this one chestnut, this one no need to rebuild lah. This one is really fairly new. You just have to, and you look at the price, it's only a 7.8 mil. 999 years, land 5,000 plus square feet. Okay, so bargain buy still possible at D23. So once again, for more details, come and approach us. Lastly, okay, hot listings, we have this brand new into Terrace. So if you look at brand new, if you buy for developer, then you see even the Terrace house alone is worth 7.18 billion. Okay, Burgundy, we have this currently in the market, okay, at 3 plus mil. Okay, then we have this Almond, almost brand new house, 99-year leasehold. It comes with pool and lift. Okay, 6 plus mil. And then this one, Galistan Avenue, good size, 7 plus thousand, 9.5 mil. 1,003, 1,001. Yeah, this Galistan is freehold, by the way. Okay, and these are the houses available. So that's all for me for D23. Sorry, we have to rush because time is catching up. I shall pass the time next to Jason to talk about District 30.
Hello, hi, good evening, Jason here. Yep, let me share with you, go into D13. Okay, have a quick glance on D13. We have actually the transaction with 15% lesser than the previous quarter. On the other hand, we are seeing a price increase, especially for the on average price, we are seeing 4.1%, and the PSF increased by 5.5%. I will share with you more on the next page. The detail here, what we see, especially overall, what you can see over here, the overall price increase actually is not only on Terrace, but semi-D and Detached. And we see a Terrace increase mainly because of the size. Most of the size actually for this region, the size are bigger. I will share with you more later part because the previous quarter, most of them bought the smaller size. So, and this time round, most of them bought above 1,005, a bigger size. So that's the price and the PSF increase. Same thing for semi-D. We are seeing also the bigger size transacted, and also some of the newer so-called semi-D transact. Thereby, actually, we see an increase in the PSF. On Detached, actually, the comparison is not much. It's only 1 versus the last quarter. But because this quarter is a brand new, so therefore, the price increase and the PSF, you see there's a drastic change as you compare from 1,003 to 2,004, because this time round we only have 1, and the PSF for this one Detached is 2,004. Compared to the last quarter, we have a couple of them. So the average price actually generally Detached. We don't see the transaction, the PSF so high. Next, we go into the chart topper. Always, I think most of them who attended our webinar, we see that actually the McPherson Garden Estate, which is this Jalan Jembera or this area McPherson, generally they always top the lowest quantum. One of the reasons is because you can see the land size is below 1,000, and most of the people who actually come in to buy for this original condition, mainly those upgrader from HDB or condo. So they do some a little bit A&A, all this, and yeah, it look actually quite good condition, and the price is most of the time is below 3, unless those the last quarter we have seen one, even the lessest land size, but it's above 3,005. On the other side, lowest PSF, you can see this one, they were bigger land size, semi-deep, but it's very original condition. So therefore, the PSF actually, on the other hand, dropped for lowest. So on the highest quantum, most of the time we are seeing the detached, giving the high quantum. This time round is actually the brand new. At Summerview Walk, we see the highest quantum. Yeah, almost 10.8, which is, if you look at the PSF, is pretty, I would say good price because it's only 2.4. Yeah, and normally for the brand new right now landed, it's easily jumped to 2.6 onwards. So on higher PSF, we are seeing this. This is at Sina Estate. At Sina Estate, this seems like a cluster, but it's not a cluster. They are actually the landed developer built. So you can see the size is actually not very big, 1,007, but have a good price. So that's why, therefore, you see the PSF jump. Okay, jumping deeper, as I mentioned just now to share with you more, general increase overall transaction. We have seen almost, we've seen a 15% drop in transaction. But on the other hand, you can see actually there's a search for this land, for this terrace. McPherson Garden, actually later part, we see a sharp drop. This McPherson Garden are mainly those land size below 1,003 or even below 1,000 square feet. So thereby, I think you see a drop of minus, but most of them actually shift to Sina Estate. Sina Estate, generally the land size are more than 1,005 onwards. So we can see later, I show you some example. Most of them buying this land size, they probably, again, for upgrader, at least they want a little bit more bigger size. Once they have A&A, make some more renovation, there's more room for them to stay and more comfortable. So this is some comparison, as you can see. On my left, all the 6 units, these are all above 1,005. That is transacted a lot. Previous quarter, we are seeing a lot of McPherson Estate, McPherson Garden, below 1,000 square feet. So as you can see from the photo, these are all original condition. But this time round, this quarter, a lot of them switched to this Sina Estate, mainly because of the bigger size unit, above 1,005. Yeah, which I think good size for them for rebuild, or even for actually A&A. So next, we are seeing more on the value side. On the transaction, we can see actually what Willie have mentioned just now. Average PSF, it seems like we are jumping into 2,000 PSF onwards. And for District 13, we can see from the above chart that I've shown, almost every quarter are into 2,000 PSF. So would that be a trend all the way to maintain until 2025? Let's see the next quarter, and I will say very likely based on the incremental that we are seeing from the last few quarter, we are seeing all the way 2,000 above to the. And what next? If you look at the chart over here, 2.1, it probably might jump into 2.1 average or even 2.2. Probably with above the next average we will see will probably from 2026 will be above 2001. So on the average, on the PSF, on this chart, what we can see, you can see a jump from 62% for Q2 for 2,000 PSF onwards, jump to 77%. One of the main reason actually come from the terrace, which I mentioned earlier. The terrace, bigger size terrace are closing. With bigger size terrace plus the value actually above 3.5 or even 4, therefore the PSF or most of them jump higher. So more detail can be shared with your HLD consultant who invited you. Next, for the hot listing, we have this couple of them. For the first one, this is actually at Brother Height. Brother Height is actually a pretty moving condition with a little bit, it's a two-story, 3-bedroom. I think basically the 3-bedroom is because they have actually modified from 4 to 3 to make the room bigger. Next is the Kwan Avenue, just senior estate, just behind Potong Pasir MRT station. We see the Worcester Road, semi-D, this is actually original. And the last one for detached, we are seeing detached in Carmichael. This is more on this area are only bungalow zone. It's a very quiet ambience for people who actually love the quietness, the enjoyment. You will actually love the area because it's also partly because it seems like it's like a mini or a small scale of Bukit Timah area. It's very quiet. Yeah, if you actually any inquiry, just go to your HLD consultant who invited you. Yeah, I think this one will probably close soon. So we have other hot listing. You can contact our so-called consultant as well for more detail. Yep. So next, I will jump into D14. Okay, for D14, more to share. For D14, quick glance for this time round, D14, we have been seeing average of less than 10 or even on the average of up to 12 or even 15. But this time round, we are seeing almost double. It's almost like close to 100% of the past transaction jump from last quarter of 12 to this quarter 24. So it's almost there. But on the other side, I think price slight adjustment, not so much on the average price and PSF. So on Terrace, again, for this D14, there's also the similar. On the Terrace side, I think there's some size slightly bigger. But bear in mind, for D14, we don't have a smaller size of like less than 1,003. Generally, for D14, the size are generally 1,006 onwards. On semi-D, yes, this time round, I think we see a more bigger unit close, bigger size like 3,005 above, and even because some of the brand new closing, that's why we see a price surge. And also for this time around, there's the surge mainly, just now I mentioned, mainly come from semi-D. So chop topper, this is where the lowest quantum is always for D14, most of the time is always the Geylang area where the shop houses. This is more like a shop houses, so you can see the land is very small, 1,004. So basically the quantum is most of them below 4,000, 4 mil. On the other side, for lower PSF, you can see the land size. This is 7,004. One thing you can see the PSF is very low. One of the main reasons is because Jalan Paras behind is actually an industry area. This is an industry area and very original. Also, the shape is not easy for development. So therefore, you can see that the PSF actually dropped a lot. On the other side, this is brand new for Salim. This is almost near to McPherson area, Salim Road, near to McPherson area. This is brand new. So therefore, you can see the price is higher. On the other side, on highest PSF, this is at Kembangan area, Lorong Sarina. This is actually, they have actually done an A&A, as you can see from the photo over here. They have done an A&A, very slim. In fact, the frontage is very small. It's a corner. It's not really a corner. It's like a more on the end corner terrace. It's like end corner terrace. So the frontage is not big, but then because the build up is actually, they push all the way up. So good size, good price, they close at 4.9, sorry, 4.6. Yeah, therefore you can see the highest PSF. Going deeper, so as I mentioned just now, you can see that the jump in terms of transaction is almost 100%. Where it come from, as you can see over here, the major jump from actually semi-D, okay, major jump, mainly from semi-D. Of course, coupled with some terrace. Terrace, not so much. I would say terrace below 2,000 square feet, more smaller for this side, for this area, the terrace. Whereas for semi-D, more bigger semi-D are closing above 3,500. Yeah, this area. I think probably people is looking at this time round, in terms of price, value for money, for semi-D, and then they can do a couple of A&A. So, and it can actually value for money for this time. And you can see that their average PSF is only about probably 1,500. And most of them that we actually see the transaction are original condition. So you can see this jump. So this is a jump where we see the 8.5, 8.7%, mainly is bigger size. And also, I think one of the main, just I mentioned the price is because there are a couple of brand new also closing. That's why it bring out the price, go up to about 8.7%. Whereas for this value, the value for 3 mil to actually 7 mil is actually hovering around this range for D14, and it contribute almost 88% as compared to last quarter. And whereas the transaction mainly a lot are actually on the 5 to 6 million, which dominate from the semi-D. More detail can be shared with from the HLD consultant. Next, for hot listing, we have this field, Terrace. This is more on inter-terrace. It's almost a moving condition with 2.5 story. The attic you can see just quite small, but then it's almost moving condition. And this is all these are in Kembangan. All these are in Kembangan. This is Lorong Maringkan, and this is very original. Probably good for rebuild. Yeah, good for rebuild. And with the frontage of almost 10.3 and the length, the depth is almost like 40 meter. Lengkong Apat, this is another one. This is the semi-D, but this is actually a corner semi-D. Okay, the only thing why you can see that this land size, though is 3.4, but the price is asking price is a bit lower, partly because the land shape is not as good compared to a rectangular land shape. Yeah, but this is a corner semi-D. It's a corner semi-D. Next on the card would be the brand new Detached coming out ready by 2024, 2025, and probably in December, we should be able to see the so-called the unit ready by probably end October. So let us know if you have any, if you are keen to see, contact your HLD consultant. So these are some of the hot listing. Thanks. And now I'll pass to D15, Justin. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. I'm Justin. I'll walk you through District 15 numbers. Okay, these are the segmentation of District 15. I'll go a little bit faster. Okay, basically District 15 is still holding very well, only 1% less transactions. And prices wise, it actually decreases a little bit, mainly due to, I would say, single story or original detached houses sold. So we see a 12%, average 12%, 12 million to 10 million in Q3. Then PSF is still holding very well. If you look at Terrace, MBD, and Detached, basically look at the PSF wise, they are all dropping little, I would say marginal, not as much, as I said for the detached, but I'll go a little bit deeper for terrace and same-day later on. For chart topper, you will see this 18 Mangis Road. This is very rare found with only 947 square feet in terms of land size. Single story house, which is good for rebuild, was sold at 2.82 million. I don't see you get it probably like one in a lifetime. Because usually District 15, the plot size is not that small. And for their lowest quantum for the for the detached, the Lorong N, that one is because it was actually, it is actually facing an apartment. So transacted at only 1,004 PSF. For highest quantum would be this 18 Pool Road. This house was actually in auctions. Was eventually transferred at 15.5 million. House was quite renovated. The only thing is that the road, if you see, if you know Katong well, right, this is actually just a one direction road. And for Chuchet Terrace, because you see more and more like new houses, especially for terraces, actually selling at 6 million or and above now, or even some actually asking for 7 million. So this is no surprise, 2005 PSF for a brand new terrace. Deeper diver. Okay, this I'm going to share a little bit on the semi-D. Now, we see a lot of semi-D. We know what price, like especially for Katong, Chuchet, Terukura, and Siglap are. And look at Katong, easily for us, semi-D in Katong would cost around about 9 million. And Chuchet, why 8 million? Okay, if I would take away this one, I would say not outlier, because how we demarcate our zoning was this head lane, semi-D head lane was one transaction only, was transacted at 8.5 million. So because of that, it seems a bit higher, exceptionally higher, like by 29%. In fact, actually in Chuchet, semi-D was hovering around about 6 million. Teluk Kurau about 5-6 million, Siglap about 7 million. Now let's take a look at the prices. In terms of the houses there. Now this can give you a bit of feel of, let's say if you have this budget or if you want to get a semi-D in Katong, what is the prices and PSF they are looking at. Now you can see the second one, headland, is the one I'm talking about. Goodman also, if I allow me to go back to the chart again, 9.33 million is only one transaction in Q3, which was transacted by our own team, HLD. Now this is the house, 9.388 million. And the second one is Head Lane, one house only, transacted at under Chuchet was about 8.5 million. This is a bit outlier. Then Teluk Kurau, for something like this, like 2,000 PSF, 6 million, because it's already built up 2.5. And although it's original, but it's already built up. Versus a Siglap 48 Elite Terrace, right, was actually transacted at 7 million. For that quantum, you'll find that the PSF is low, but for the quantum one, 7 million is considered on I would say average or on the high side, considering the land size is 4,000. So this gives you a bit of feel of what sort of price tag would be for semi-D in different various of zone. Now let's look at terrace. If you follow us, like for the last quarter, I talk about terraces for 2.5 versus a 3-story. We call this a Cat B and Cat C, right? Houses in District 15. Now, how much would that be to cost for you to buy a fully built terrace in District 15? You must wondering. So easily, if you want to get a terrace in District 15, easily 4.5 to even high 5. You can get something that decent, they can move in, right? If you want something that fully built up, like 2.5, or some with basement, how much would that be? Okay, PSF aside for PSF, because you know that PSF are always on and increase, right? So now we have about 1.5% increase, but marginal. I would say it's still holding very well for terrace in terms of PSF or terrace in District 15. Now the next slide, I'm going to give you a bit of idea of how much does it cost to get a fully built house. Like for example, this 81 Elite Park, it is a 3.5-story house with basement, built up 5,000. It costs about 5.7 already transacted. So PSF would be 3,005, right? So because how would buyers see it was, if you were to get a new one, brand new, it costs you more than 6 or even 7 now. So this one comes to be a bit more fairly because you don't have to go through the reconstructions. Then for Teluk Kurau, this one is 5.25, 3,001. Pulau San, and also Jalan Keris. All these are actually already 5.3 or even high 5 at easily above 3,000 PSF mark. Okay, hot listing. Now let's take a look at this in the Terrace. We have this very, I would say, entry level, 3.3 million, hard to find in conservation shop houses. If I want, okay. And for Corner Terrace, we have this very good, fully built up future-proof house with lift and pool, 7.8 million. Hexview, this one, the price has a little bit adjusted down, 8.8 million, with a land sale of 4,004, which is very sizable, already fully built up as well. And the next Detached, I bring this to showcase today because I feel that the PSF is very low. It's considering about land cost. Having said that, this is already a 2-story house, renovated with only like 1,006 PSF. Okay, these are the listings we have. So that's all for me for District 15. I'm going to pass on to Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Good evening. I'm Michael. I will cover District 16. Of the 5 areas that we have here, the one that consistently have the most transaction is the Q Drive Limau area. And this is attributed to the high density of houses there and also a good mix of leasehold and freehold. Let's look at the transaction at a glance. There is actually a drop of 18% in transaction from 45 to 37. Average price-wise increased by 4.9% to 4.85 mil. And the average PSF decreased by the same margin to 1,628. Look into deeper house type transaction, both the Terrace and semi-D saw a decrease in transaction, with Terrace average price going down below the 4 mil to 3.8 mil, and the average PSF by 3.2% to 1,823 mil. Semi-D saw a bigger drop, a 2-digit drop, 14.3 to 4.4 mil. And one of the reasons of this low is that quite a number of transactions are 99 years. That's bringing down the value. Average PSF drop also 2-digit, 12.3 to 1,314 PSF. Detached, however, saw an increase by 51% from 6.9 mil to 10.5. And PSFY marginally dropped 0.7% to 1,344. Record setting transaction. We start off with Freehold and 999. Lowest quantum is 3.4 mil, and this is about the same as Q2. On the right, we have got the lowest PSF, which is 992 PSF. This is attributed to the big land size of this semi-D, which is 8,000 square feet. And then the transaction price is 8 million. That accounts for a low 992 PSF. On the higher end, the highest quantum is 13.8 mil for this detached house at 21 Jalan Hajijah. As you can see down here, you got a land size of 7,000 and a build-up of close to 7,000 as well. That accounts for the high price. On the right, we have got a highest PSF reaching 2,006 for this terrace house, which has got a land area of close to 2,000 and transacted price is 5.1. So for District 16, we are looking at PSF reaching the 2006. 99-year lease, lowest quantum is 2.74 compared to Freehold just now, the one is 3.4. And it is at this location, 18 Limau Rise. In terms of PSF on the right is 812. And this is based on the transaction detail, land size of close to 4,000 and a build-up of 4,700. On the higher end, we have this semi-D at 2Q height, transacted at 3.5 mil. And if you look at the detail, it's actually renovated with ensuite 6 bedroom and 5 bathroom. On the right, the highest PSF is 1259. This is from 48Q high. Average size, land size is about 2003 and a build-up of 3.3. Deeper Drive, we see a transaction increase in detached in 2025. Not only in Q3, but comparatively, we have got 11 transactions for the first 3 quarters versus 5 in the whole of 2024. And the detail that you can see down here is that the transaction price, average price has gone up from 7.5 mil to 10.4 mil. And the land size transaction are also large, right? It's 8,000 for Q3 versus 4,003 in Q2. And out of the 11 transactions, 1 is the leasehold, which is indicated in blue there, right? With an average price of 5.8 and the land area of also 5,800 square feet. In terms of transaction value, it's the bulk actually is between the 3 to 6 mil, right? Although there is price going above the 8 mil. As you can see down here in Q3, we have got 4 houses going above the 8 mil. And these 4 houses, out of which 1 is a semi-D and the other 3 are detached house, transacted at 10.6 mil, 11.1 mil, and the highest transaction is 13.8 mil. Hot listing, we've got 2 down here. Terrace on the left side, the asking price is 6.25 with a build-up of with a PSF of 2007. This house, although it's a terrace, it is very well designed. As you can see from the facade there, massive build-up area, 3-story with a roof terrace. As compared to the corner terrace that is on the right, the price tag is 5.3 with a PSF of 2001. And the land size for this one is slightly bigger, but a smaller PSF, a smaller build-up area of 3,005. And here we have the semi-D, which is at Seabreeze Avenue, price tag at 6.6 mil with an attractive PSF of 1489. The land size is 4,004 with a wide frontage. So it is a good buy if you are looking for low PSF. And the detached house on the right is asking 11.8 mil with a PSF of 1848. It had got a land size of 6,000 and a massive build-up area of over 6,000 square feet. Price tag 11.8. Besides these 4, we also have the other listings which are here. And you can always reach any one of us. We'll be more willing to share with you. With that, I end the 16th presentation. I shall now pass over to Sean. Thank you.
Hi, I think we need to extend 1 hour surprise, yeah, in line with it. Okay, joke aside. So in lieu of time, we'll need to speed up a little bit, all right? So for District 19, I think for the Northeast, what was covered at the start of the webinar, we have seen negatives, a sea of red, but amongst the red, actually is what's underneath that really matters, all right? So for District 19 itself, this being the pulse every time, you notice the transactions have dropped. But what's really interesting, it doesn't mean with fewer transactions, the prices go up, PSS go up, but is it correlated per se? Yeah. So at one glance, especially for terraces, whenever we see a disparity example, the terraces price increase quantum,
but PSF is only marginal. What does it truly mean, right? So by diving into the data itself, by analyzing every single transaction, then you can actually make sense of what the market pulse is like, especially if you're looking to buy or sell. Oftentimes, especially in this quarter, we see a lot of buyers asking very critical questions. So for the first time for District 19, we'll showcase a lot more detail into some of the past transactions this last quarter to kind of make sense of the data. Okay. So chart toppers, nothing surprising. There's many transactions of late that are no longer single story. I'll go into this in the deep dive, right? So these are two examples whereby single story is prime for redevelopment, but very rarely you have buyers that actually appreciate a single story. You put in your heart and soul to go and revitalize, renovate, but that's very few in terms of the percentage of buyers nowadays. On the other spectrum, these are two brand new. Right, the one on the left, this is a pair of very big with a basement detached. This is in Kovan site, but I'm more interested in the one on the right. Why I say that? All right, so later part, I'll show you more details. 99 again has been doing very well in the sense that in terms of the palatable quantum, right? But again, these are the ones of the older ones per se, and a lot of work needs to be put into the renovations per se. On the other spectrum, these are the more modern ones, especially the ones on the right. This will be at House, HAUS. This will be, again, you can see why the disparity in the PSF. Some houses have basements, some houses, more than 40 unique selling points. So unless you actually go into all these details and know all this information, otherwise landed oftentimes is a market that has a lot of imperfect information, right? So going to a deep dive. So Terrace straight off the bat. So in general, quantum has gone up, average 6 point something%. And usually for District 19, we'll be more concerned with the two regions specifically, Serangoon Gardens and Kovan. Oftentimes they go neck and neck. Sometimes the gap is bigger, sometimes the gap is smaller. But what differentiates between these two estates, actually I'll go into it next. So first thing, so often we don't have such data, but for this quarter, I'm very excited. So this is a surprise to some, but to most, actually, this is no longer a surprise, right? Why I say so? So look at this for the last quarter. There's two transactions, both are brand new. Land size happens to be quite similar, 1,008 for both, right? So for Kovan itself, we know that it can be fully rebuilt. Usually when you rebuild, especially if it's a developer, they'll look to maximize what we call the GFA. So comparing both, they have very varying kind of statistics or kind of unique selling points. Kovan, 7 plus 1 bedrooms. For a terrace itself is considerably quite big, of course, because you have the height to do that. As opposed to Serangoon Gardens, it's only kept within 2.5 stories, sometimes with mezzanine, sometimes without. So what's truly interesting that although these two are in District 19, the PSF and the quantum is very similar. But what do you get in place of the estate? Is Kovan necessarily worse off than Serangoon Gardens or vice versa? So in essence, for last quarter, you can really think that for the same price, for the same quantum, do you need more rooms or are you okay with 5 bedrooms for a slightly better location relative to your needs, right? And for moving on for more terraces analysis. So for Kovan and Serangoon Gardens itself, for the category B houses, this will be the types that we are classifying as 2 stories, neither here nor there, not fully maximized. But comparing both estates is a little bit tricky. Why? Because Serangoon Gardens, majority of the original houses are actually single story, whereas in Kovan, most of the original houses are already 2 stories. But based on the previous analysis for something that is brand new, diving into the comparison for in Kovan, you have something that's a 2-story as opposed to Serangoon Gardens, a single story. The PSF is quite on par. All right, so you can see the gap in between the market already. That's why a lot of buyers, they're asking, oh, I can't find anything in Serangoon Gardens. It's always too small. They tend to gravitate to Kovan. They may find better value over there. Yeah. Again, the number of transactions for Serangoon Gardens for the category B houses, these are very rare and few in between because mostly these are what we term the Huan brothers, Tai Huan, Li Huans, whereby default they are already a 2-story dwelling. Okay, going more into the maximized type. So category A houses generally are fully maximized already regardless of when or which year it was being built. So again, comparing Serangoon Gardens and Kovan, we notice the kind of shift towards the preference for Serangoon Gardens, houses that has been rebuilt before. A lot of the houses here actually are transacting for those who are fully maximized, of course, at varying kind of PSF. But what's really notable this time is that majority of the house size is actually less than 2,000 square feet, right? That could really kind of explain partially why quantum and the PSF relationship is a bit mismatched. But the true variable that actually affected the entirety of District 19 terraces is the fact number of terraces, corner terraces that's actually being lumped together. So all this information, you can't really get it through public portals, URA, or even some agent portals, the generic ones, because usually they'll be classified all under terraces. But from this alone, we can really see that Serangoon Gardens, the demand is really strong. 6 transactions, fully maximized corner terraces. Quantum, definitely higher with that slightly lower PSF. Hence, when you lump both together, notice PSF, marginal, because bigger lands, but the quantum actually jumped quite a fair bit. Yep. So shall not dwell too much. These are some of the interesting ones for the inter-terrace, corner terrace. Do take a look. Anyway, the recording for this webinar will be shared to the participants as well. Similarly for semi-Ds and detached, right? Need more information, always reach out to us. And these are the known listings available in the market, everyone being different, even within the estate itself, based on all the unique selling points. Okay, so District 20. So 20 is one of, I would say, the worst performing in terms of the number of transactions, but is it truly another surprise in stock? Right, so there's a bit of typo here for the detached, so that's to ignore that. Not many transactions anyway for the detached. But for terrace and semi-D, I think the one that really we need to understand is on the semi-Ds itself. But before that, let's dive into the chart toppers. So again, for District 20, there are many houses, especially in the Thomson Garden area. Land size is pretty small, so it's not surprising that PSF actually surpasses 3,000. Likewise, for something that is semi-D, most of the time you will get a much lower PSF. So this will be Jalan Tambah. Something about Jalan Tambah, I think there's more than 6 units, right, on sale at any given time. So this is the lucky one that's being sold. So if you're in the market thinking of selling, when you know your neighbors are all selling, the pricing, the position really matters. Do you want to be the first among the 6 to sell, or you want to be the 7th to sell? Because by the time it's your turn, somebody else is on sale as well. Okay, so for the highest one, this will be Jalan Bincang. This is a truly unique detached in a sense that this is, although along the main road of Jalan Bincang, this comes with a basement itself. So a lot of houses in this area, because of the elevation, they come with what we call the higher minimum platform level. So for houses like this, you have level 1 that looks like a level 1, but it's actually a full open basement. So this kind of characteristics in terms of the topography actually adds a lot of value. So this, take it with a pinch of salt, doesn't mean that your detached is worth 2338 PSF as well, at this quantum, yeah? So oftentimes you need to look at the GFA as well. So no surprising on the right side, highest PSF, smallest lands. So 99 also has gained some traction. I think these are the 2 areas. I think District 20, there's not many 99 these whole areas to begin with. Again, it's more for affordability. Gone are the days. Just last week, somebody asked a buyer, I want to buy District 20 freehold below 3 million. I think you need to wake up. It's 2025, coming to 26, yeah? If not, if you are in for a big surprise. Okay, so diving deeper. So why has terraces, especially the semi-Ds, plummeted so much from 14 to 5, right? This actually brings down, because the way we analyze all this data is actually based on average values. Unlike, let's say, other platforms or even the URA or this, they will be using the median. So this is a more accurate representative of the current market. But then again, quarter on quarter, when you have fewer transactions, the task or the challenge then is for us to really sieve out any interesting insights. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. If you want to base your house value based on what is available to public and majority of the agents, you only know address, land size, PSF, and price. Is this enough? Are you willing to gamble your millions based on all this data, all right? So it's always imperfect information. Why I say so, let me dive deeper next. Okay, so for District 20, the bull run for the semi-Ds has passed. So from 10, surprise, we only have one transaction for something that is a two-story. So this is one of the layouts that we have that we send to a lot of clients in terms of the map. So it's easier to visualize where are the transactions being held, right? So for this previous quarter, only one. Does it mean that there's a lack of supply, or simply means that, the prices have risen so much that it's a bit unrealistic in the sense that to buy something like this to fully maximize? Okay. So to look onwards towards the category A type for semi-Ds. So notably also understanding your GTA or mastery of a GTA is very important, even within District 20. The lower half of District 20, original houses are already 2 stories tall, all right? The ones at the northward side, which is Sampang Hills, those will be single story. So by default, what you classify as original varies from estate to estate, right? So for houses that are transacting original state 2 stories when you tear down and rebuild. So the question backs, what then will be the true PSF for something that is brand new? And also noting that there is no brand new being transacted for semi-Ds. So is it an opportunity for developers to come in? All right. One way to look at it is based on the transaction that the market forces have allowed for a category C semi-D, which is a single story. So the PSF already hovers around 1,005, 1,006. This will be further north of District 20. Right, so terraces as well. So this has something that this segment really surprised us quite a bit. Why I say so, right? Because all these wild terraces, we thought that, people would be looking towards higher land sizes above 2,000. That's kind of like the palatable ones. But for last quarter, a lot of transactions actually occur smaller than 1,008. Okay, so it's the single story one still the most valuable in the sense that you want to buy something that's a single story land to rebuild. For this, we have actually a case study. All right. So 3 houses, 2 lanes apart, same quarter transacted. Single story, 2.5 story, and brand new. All right. So if you look towards the left, land value 3.18. Don't be fooled by a lot of agents or builders or contractors who tell you that you want to rebuild anything that's less than $500 per square foot. Be surprised. All right. We have many examples from our clients that choose to believe otherwise. So a ballpark figure, all right, compared to the one right on the right, something that is brand new, the GFA will be 3,771. So loosely, this will be calculated on $500 per square foot. The full rebuild cost will be about 1.8855. So a buyer recently asked, how come, all right, if I want to buy a brand new, it's not worth it? Okay, the question is will always be cheaper relatively to buy land and rebuild at your own cost. But the real question is, do you have 25% of 3.128 cash or CPF plus 1.8855 cash and CPF? If the answer is yes, and you have the time, you have the financing ability, why not consider buying land to rebuild? Otherwise, option 2, which would be something in the center, something that has been rebuilt before, already 2.5 stories, you save about 700 over 1,000, right? With this amount, do you need to spend money on renovations? Yes. So is the center one a better buy than the one on the right-hand side? So it really depends. What really sticks out for brand new is that you can take the full loan based on the quantum, because simply it's new, the valuation is usually higher. Okay, so there's one way to look at it, but without all this information, it's very hard. It's just a step in the dark every time you look at the past transactions. Okay, so based on the other types, comparing 2 quarters, category A houses, whereby these are the ones fully maximized across District 20, still remains quite robust. So in large part, the drop in District 20 is really from the semi-Ds per se. Okay, and more on towards the category B houses. So this is the one that we did a deeper analysis. There's actually comparatively to last quarter, whereby more than half of this, 5 of them are larger than 2,000 square feet. For the last quarter, it's only one that is bigger than 2,000 square feet. So of course, this plays a lot in terms of the quantum place a lot on the PSF. Okay, hope this sheds some light. So these again are some of the listings that our team is marketing, or these are so-called strategically positioned in the market as well. If you're keen, do reach out to any of the consultants as well. Okay, District 28. Every quarter is a pain, but now not so painful. Why? Because Poland collection, not many transactions. So this is again stripping away Poland collection to give you a better glimpse of the resale market. So actually a negative of 9% is not that bad. Yeah. But what is more alarming is how come the gap between the average price and the average PSF seems to have some correlation in terms of the figures. Okay, pardon my typo. This page is full of typos. Generally, everything is positive. It has increased. Yeah, terraces also for semi-Ds. So last quarter, we were talking about District 28 being the most undervalued, or so-called the best value district. Is it so still? All right. So what has remained consistent is the lack of transactions that is for single story. Right, so this is one of the very few in District 28 in Q3 that transacted just for land. So are you going to buy this to renovate? You're going to buy this to rebuild? Again, case study later. Right, on the other spectrum, of course, Luxus Hills always holds a kick. But what is really interesting is quarter on quarter, PSF has maintained. Is this the highest? Will it hit a 3,000-ish in the next quarter? Yet remains to be seen, remains to be believed, right? So diving deeper, so these are the outlay. So in fact, for District 28, semi-Ds actually increased 9 to 10, terraces just marginal. So given this data, I'm pretty happy. I think the District 28 did quite well comparing to the other siblings for 19 and 20. Okay, so category A dominates for the terraces. Why? Majority of these are very nicely positioned in the market in terms of the quantum. Below 4 million, you can still get something that is 2.5 stories, 3.5 stories, just below 5 million, whereas you'll be priced out in District 19 and easily priced out in District 20. Earlier, you saw District 20, something as 2 stories, really like 4.6 and to 4.8. PSF wise is also very palatable for District 28. But then again, the question would be why then, if taking off the surface, there's such a big disparity in terms of the PSF range, even for a fully maximized kind of house in District 28. Okay, so it really depends on which part of District 28 you're in, how many stories, how new with lift, with swimming pool, etc. So all these details, do reach out. Okay, conversely, for the category C houses, single story, there's only 2 transacted. So on the category B, this is something that's quite interesting because there's not many to begin with, and the value is neither here nor there. All right, 2 transactions. The PSF hovers around 2,000, but there's a big gap, 1,005 to 2,001. But most of these are larger lands, if you notice, right? Higher the land, the first one being 2,007 square feet. All right, the other one will be just under 1,008. Okay, semi-Ds. So category B houses have dominated for some reason. Deduct is super hot, right? We managed to transact 1 as well. So deduct is a very interesting. For District 28, I think one thing to note is many houses come with natural basements at the rear of the house. From the front, you can't tell. The one we transacted came with 2 basements. So just imagine in terms of the effective build-up, it's very different from the rest. Yeah. So what are the other factors that affect the PSF? Or the deeper analysis will be made available for those who need to request for it. Okay, and lastly, for the category A houses, it's still maintaining in the range of, 1,008 to 1,009 for something that is more or less fully maximized. One of it being a brand new that was resold, I think in the exercise twice, but otherwise very few options remain available at this quantum, at this PSF. So it begs to question, how much would a brand new semi-D in District 28 now cost? Example, take for the one that is on the right. You buying in at 4.6, the average rebuild cost will be around 2.65 for this unit. So totaling will be 7 point something million, and based on that, what is the PSF? So these are ways to kind of quantify or to justify if you're still sitting on the fence thinking of buying, should I buy this, should I wait? Similarly for sellers, what pricing right actually dictates how you position your unit. You don't want to be in the market for more than 1 year for some cases. Yeah. Okay, so these are some of the listings again. The team is actually marketing. Again, these are selected and curated based on positioning already. Some of them being very palatable in terms of the PSF. The one on the right, 3.5 stories, you're already purchasing less than 5 million. You can't find this kind of value anywhere else, I would say, in all the core districts. Okay, the one on the left, this will be something we mentioned about, something that is brand new. Why is this PSF higher than the calculation previously? Simply because this is a 2.5 story with a mezzanine, with a swimming pool. So these are things that you can't change. You cannot just buy a house and add a mezzanine per se, right? If you're on the market again for something of exceptional value, subdivisible, the one on the right is something that's highly kind of gaining a lot of traction as well. Okay, so all this to reach out. With that, no more surprises in the Northeast. Now it's time for Will to shock you all for Central.
Thank you, Sean. Good evening, everybody. So let me bring you into the District 10. Again, the number as shown as above. Transaction pretty healthy. Price slightly dip a bit, and of course PSF continue to rise. And in terms of price for only the detached and the GCB, there's a slight for the terrace. There's quite a big drop in price, but in terms of PSF for all categories has increased significantly. Yep, even our GCB a slight increase. Yep. So chart topper, these are the few houses that is being transacted for the lowest and the for the lowest quantum and the lowest PSF. Okay, so for the highest price, Cornwall transact at 38.288 million, whereas the highest a brand new semi-D that has just crossed a $4,150 per square. Some more interesting thing to share. So coming forward, you will realize that this time round, District 10, most of the houses is transacting within the 10 to slightly below 15 million, of which 90% are conquered by the semi-Ds with a bigger land size. Okay, some of the factors like bigger land size, condition of the house. So for right now, I'm going to show you on the segment of the leasehold semi-D type house type. Yeah, so for semi-D house type in Bukit Timah, I think in the earlier chart, Willie have mentioned that semi-D has 99 year has performed was in red, but in District 10 it's all in blue. Though the number increased slightly in terms of price, but PSF has jumped to a 6.3%, which is about $100 different compared to Q2. So in terms of average price, you can see here, this time round, we see a higher shift in terms of prices, in terms of average price. From the previous quarter of 2001 to probably less than 2006. This time round, we are going towards the 2003 to slightly below 2007. Okay, this one shows the confidence in buyers in District 10, and I believe this PSF will continue to go higher, but not which I have not highlight this price above 3,000. Yeah, be prepared. More houses will cross this mark again. So some of the deeper analysis, if you require, to reach out to any of your agent who have bring you in or any of the consultants. Some more hot listing that's available in District 10. This particular house with back Grove Drive with back facing green. And if today you have missed out on Sky at Holland, there's another one more chance for you to own a piece of a Holland landed. Okay, this time is Holland landed within close proximity to Holland Village. Okay, not too far away from Sky. Yeah, so just recently, Sky 5-bedroom has transacted close to 6 million. So making this a very palatable product on hand for a corner terrace. Next, if you are looking for a hilltop semi-D, okay, within Wharton Drive, this could be the next houses. And if you are somebody who have the appetite to subdivide or have multiple homes within one single land, King's Drive is worth consideration due to its location and its proximity to Nanyang Primary School. Okay, so here are some of the listings that's available to reach out to any one of us or your agents. Next, we're going to jump into District 11. Have a quick glance. Same thing. Price slightly declined by a bit, but PSF continued to rise. So these are the numbers for Terrace. Though there's a couple of new houses that's transacted, the average out slightly dipped a bit by 12.8%. But other than that, everything continued to rise. And you will realize that GCB here has a significant jump in terms of value, in terms of price, and in terms of PSF. This is due to there's only one brand new semi-D that's being GCB that's being transacted this time for Q3. So top of the lowest quantum, you will see this mint condition house. This house has been sold twice, all right, and it actually transacts 6.18, and the other one, a long driveway, a hilltop detached, sitting at Wharton, at the corner of Wharton, transact the lowest in terms of PSF. So the highest quantum, as mentioned, the GCB at June, brand new. So at the highest quantum in terms of price, 55 million, but PSF also alerts me close to 4,000. Okay, the brand new one that's being transacted, Kim Hock Terrace House, 4,000, slightly above 4,000. So some interesting numbers to show. Again, price shifted. More houses are transacted, close to 20 million. Okay, this what actually pushes this price to go up so much. Mainly bigger house type, mainly are the detached. And next, in terms of PSF, the brand new house. So here are some of the numbers in terms of this PSF that has shifted. So previously, Q2, you will see more numbers hovering slightly less than 2006. Okay, this time round, you will see more houses transact between the range of 2008 to slightly below 3,000. Oh, wait, sorry, above 3,000. So some of popular locations, due to, that has more house transacted, is probably due to it's mainly due to the proximity to schools. So as you can see, Daniel has did pretty well. Q2, 6 unit. This time round, Q3, 19 unit transacted. Okay, of which mainly are detached home, just for your info. So for semi-D, okay, for this quarter, you can see the detached actually outperformed, as mentioned earlier. All right, with an average of 16.6 million. Yeah, and of course, the highest PSF transacted is actually at close to 3,002 for this quarter. So some of the houses, as mentioned, the detached house, 70% sold within the Travel Scheme Hawk area, as well as Marine. Okay. So data-wise, if you not need more info, to reach out to any one of us again. Some of the hot listing that's available. This unit at Novena. Hillcrest, if you are looking for a semi-D frontage, this Hillcrest Corner Terrace might suit you at a slightly lower and palatable price tag. Next, if you are looking for a house to rebuild dual frontage, this unit at Hillcrest, don't miss. And of course, within the exclusive bungalow zone, The detached home, very nice size, close to 5,000, is also available. Some of the listings available, just reach out to any of your agents who have engaged you over. Now I pass this back to Willie to sum up the whole thing. Willie, please.
Okay, thanks for surviving. I use word surviving. I don't want to use word enduring because I'm sure there's a lot of information, insightful ones, even to me or to the leaders who's been looking at numbers for the past so many years. This every quarter, all right, use a lot of useful insights, and I hope you agree with us. There's a lot of surprises besides the blues, the rates as well, right? And hope that helps you to make more what do you call this? More smarter decisions. All right. But okay, let's come to basically the recommendations and of course a bit of outlook for the rest of 2025. Let's first start with I would say mistake. Remember, I said we were cautiously optimistic, more focused on that. First thing that we have recognized, at least for the last 3 to 6, not the 6 months, is that whatever we have said about tariff war, geopolitical tensions, etc. We were very concerned at the end of first quarter, anticipating that. Went through second quarter, we were giving a lot of word of caution, advising people not to be too bullish. Fortunately, unfortunately, it has been proven, at least for the last 3 to 6 months, it has not been able to actually affect the local landed market, and if not the entire property market, right? Needless to say, if you have been reading the news, you know, condos or these new launches are all flying off the shelves. Okay, where did the money come from? We don't know. But we do know that whatever is happening outside Singapore, maybe the bubble or safety bubble is too strong. All right, it has not really affected us. I would like to use the word yet. Okay, I'll come to that in a while. Okay. But what we have seen so far is resilience in the landed prices. I think this is particularly for, I think, a lot of naysayers. A couple of my ICs have mentioned, what, $3 million freehold, for example, right? Impossible. I hope this would help you to understand why is it that landed prices in Singapore are so resilient, if not will continue to rise. Okay, these are factors not within your control, my control, sellers or buyers. Okay, so it's a result of many, many reasons. I'm not saying this just to be bullish about it. We're talking about resilience. I'm not saying it will break through the roof, 10, 20% growth. Okay, but this very strong fundamentals, okay, have helped us to maintain not just for landed property prices, but in property prices in general. Okay, so such as, for example, Singapore is a safe haven. We've heard quite a number of not just foreigners and Singaporeans, even a lot of businessmen who are exposed to the external environment during the last 3 to 6 months, saying that this what has happened outside, okay, in the turmoil, all the uncertainties, if not lack of safety, has actually made Singapore even a safer haven, right, for a lot of the wealthy residents, home seekers in a sense, either not just for business, but of course as a home as well. Okay. Yeah, of course, some may argue, no, these are foreigners, they will not affect landed property prices though, because they are reserved for Singaporeans, but Singapore being very small, that's almost in the indirect link is very direct. There's a very fine line. If condo prices goes up, foreigners buying more, or even as PRs buying more, for example, I think that will help in terms of the transaction volume and the transfer in terms of the ownership between the different asset classes. Okay, one is a growing economy. I think today's Straits Times just came out. Quarter 3 continue to defy expectations. I think grew by 2.8%. Expecting, I think, to grow to end the year on a pretty high note. Okay, higher than even the expectations at the beginning. Also, we just came out. I think Singapore population just hit 6.1 million. All right, I think population growth means demand. Demand means there's more people fighting basically for the same limited plot. And what among the asset class is the most limited? Landed properties, right? So for this, you have more and more upgraders from, let's say, for condos, even, and now I think even among terraces. I'm not talking about Strata 99. We see a lot more and more HDB right? Upgraders buying their first landed properties. Okay. And what is happening, and which we think has a very strong impact now, especially towards the recent condo launches, was the falling interest rates. I think from 6 months ago, we're still at hovering about what 2.5%, etc. 6 months later, now you could get rates, fixed rates as low as like 1.6%, for example, and this is expected to stay low, right? Unless global so-called economic conditions change. And of course, rising condo prices. Needless to say, again, some examples were mentioned just now. It's not just about Sky at Haven, Sky at Holland. A lot of, in fact, next year, we're expecting to see a lot of record high land prices being launched for sale. That will only mean that the gap between condo prices, new launches, and landed prices, the gap becoming closer, and therefore pushing a lot of buyers who are thinking about buying, for example, a 4-bedroom condo, brand new ones at, I don't know, $4 million. Why not top up a bit more to buy your first landed? All right. That's always been the case for the last 5 years, but I believe, or we believe, that this will continue to rear its head the next 1 year. Now, besides that, again, we want to be generally our team, if you have known us, we prefer to be a bit more cautious. Always think about what could potentially happen. All right. These are some of the headwinds. For example, in terms of employment growth, while I think the not just uneven employment growth, but also in terms of wealth distribution as well. Right, one factor that I should have mentioned inside. Okay, while a economy is growing, I think you see certain sectors they are still bringing in, especially in terms of services and in terms of technology as well. There are a lot of more traditional segments that unfortunately are facing a lot of uncertainty, retrenchment, etc. Okay, how is it going to affect? I think in terms of total property market, that remains to be seen, but it's definitely a cause for concern, if not a concern for us. And we also see HDB as a step board being very aggressive. Today, they just launched another almost 10,000 units, right, of BTOs, trying to actually push down. In fact, last quarter was probably one of the slowest growing growth rate, okay, in terms of HDB price growth. Using aggressive BTO launches that are very, very exciting locations, for example. I think by lowering or at least containing the growth of HDB price, which is, by the way, the spark, okay, is the root of all property or asset class prices, in a sense. If you keep having record-breaking $1 million HDB flats, obviously you expect condos and landed property markets to increase, okay? Right, next will be, of course, the global economy is still unstable. We won't comment too much about that. Some that we have read also may also cost, okay, some of these effects may also cause interest rate to not remain at under 2% and may cause it to rise in future. Last and definitely not the least, and this is more for landed property owners, which usually, I think, the highest proportion of them actually dabble in, I think, stock market, which increasingly, there are a lot of people saying, not just for AI, but other parts of the stock market is increasingly becoming a bit more bullish, all right? Whether this will potentially mean as a as a counter against asset price increase, I think that would potentially happen in future. Okay. Now, to end off the year, what we feel for the next quarter, right, is that we feel that the value will remain, the growth will remain as a high 4.x%. Exactly how much we will know, maybe it's 4, 5, 4, 6, etc. Volume is continuing to be quite strong, probably end at about 1,600 to 1,700 units. That is basically just maintaining the current rate of volume, all right? Yeah, accounting for a quarter four seasonality, maybe about 300 plus units, you hit 1,600 really, all right? Now, very importantly, I think we say this all the time because that's what we mean, and it still holds true. Because even though now we know a lot of numbers, you may be very knowledgeable about the numbers, about what's happening, when you memorize this, or even you are following us, you know the insights. I think you should still make your next move based on your personal needs rather than just numbers or rather than just market conditions. We've come across a lot of clients where you don't make decisions just based on PSF. Okay, just pay PSF, average price, size, etc. These are all numerical. Main thing, I think, is still based on your needs, whatever, how non-financial it is, whether it's about location, about a certain layout, the feel of a house, etc. I think that's more important because, after all, this landed property is not just a financial instrument, it's also your home. all right? And a home, a happy home, which I just frankly just mentioned to a client of mine yesterday during a negotiation, that's priceless. That's really priceless. Some rich people will tell you, and we learned this from some of the most successful businessmen or business people or women, right, in the world, in Singapore, is that you can pay $1 million more for a more expensive landed property, okay, for example. Okay, but if you buy the right property, the family is happy, your business prosper, you can make the $1 million back in half a year or a year. Okay, rather than buying something that is cheaper but it's not so suitable and creates tension, for example, unhappiness within the family. All right. Last but not least, we preach this every time because that's still true. We're 100 of us every time, right? We are always exchanging information, insights, etc. Because the variation in the performance across the different types has many factors really. Not just the 4 things that URA states on paper, not just the 20 factors that HLD measures. There's actually a lot of things that will affect a landed property's reasonable or value or market demand, etc., etc. So the only solution to this is to continue to develop a deep understanding of the landed markets factors, micro, macro, etc. Important to make the, well, quote inverted commas, the right decision, not just for the market, but for yourself and your family. All right. Now, with this, we come to the end of this webinar. I'm not too sure whether we have time because we already exceeded by 50 minutes. But if there's anyone has any burning question, does anyone you want to? Let me just check. Is there any? There's a chat. Can go back to previous screen. I'm so sorry, Lester. There's an 828. If you know any of the HLD teammates, you can let us know which one is it. Anyway, this will be recorded, right? This will be up probably by end of this week. Once we edit it and put it up. End of this week, latest next Monday. Okay. Lester, if you're still here, you can let us know exactly which one is it. Anyone has any burning question you want to ask? Anything you want to ask? But again, this is just a start. We will continue to be on the ground. We will continue to be able to be engaged, to be available for contact, for clarification. And of course, the best way, let's have a one-to-one, sit down, have a coffee, meet at your house, etc. All right. And then that's the best way. And then we can go through either the numbers, look at what the listings, past transactions, go through the qualitative factors, all this as well. All right. If not, on behalf, oh, sorry, last but not least, please let us know how do you find this webinar? I know besides this being very long, just give me a minute. That's something that my leaders here are now smiling. Whoever takes the last one, hold on. Okay, let me just launch this. Okay, if you could just help us do a simple rating. How, guys? How do we cut it down to 1 hour 45 minutes? The thing is, we all want to share as much as we can. And frankly, we have already tried. All right. You can see the speed of the pace, the speed of we try to contain everything as much as we could. There's just so much, right? So much that we could share. And the more you know, I think the more happier we are, the more constructive, I think, conversation we can have. Okay. Okay. Anyone? Maybe a few more seconds. We are touched because there's a lot of 10 out of 10. Let me just show the results, okay? Share results. Can you all see? Towards the end. Thank you so much. There's nothing. It's just a little pat on back for the past 5-6 days of number crunching. So again, like I said, it doesn't end here. So we will continue to share this and be our service and look forward to the next webinar. And that's an exciting one because it's going to be in January 2026. We're going to start the year, middle of the month, to go through not just a quarter, but the entire annual performance of 2025 versus 24. And of course, giving you our insights and outlook for 2026, right? With this, my name is Willie, and on behalf of Hutton's Landed Division, HLD, very good night.